right, Noah, just diving into some of these elements that we discussed today. Of course, we have you on the left-hand side compared to Mike Weir on the right-hand side. A little less S posture with Mike Weir than what we see with you. Mike Weir has a little bit more rounded low and mid portion of his back, which reflects the numbers and the data that we're looking for. A couple things that obviously we look at in this particular instance certainly illustrates why we're doing certain things now. Major upgrades to the way your body moves, and I think the important thing to realize, your pelvis and the functionality to your pelvis is much improved. As we take both of these players and the clubs swing back, we'll call it right arm parallel. Mike is going to catch up to you here in a minute, but ultimately if we're looking at the pelvis rotation, Mike has 34 degrees of pelvis rotation. You have 26 degrees. Now you used to have almost double that. So this is a significant upgrade. Now the only thing that Gears prompted us to pay attention to is your shoulder alignment at address as well as at impact. We see with the positioning of the golf club, the planes are a little bit different as well as the hand paths are a little bit different. As the golf club continues up, we see a completely different way both of you move the golf club from the top of the swing down to the back of the golf ball. I'm not saying that what Mike is doing is better or what you're doing is better. We're just comparing some things that you guys are doing. In reality, we're talking about some things related to the way that your body moves from the way that you start. Now, of course, a couple things that we have to point out and pinpoint. Your tendencies at address are to have your shoulders open. When your shoulders are open, you're leaning a little bit right, which leans a little bit towards the target. So we've suggested that you're a little bit more closed. What feels closed is going to get you more square. Ultimately, what this allows us to do at impact, it also allows us to be less open with your torso, creating a little bit better control of your body, so your torso is more closed, once again feeling more square. That's why the 2D video is me holding your torso, and ultimately that 2D video will show me creating a little bit of stability in your torso while your lower body's rotating. You can see with Mike, his lower body's rotating, his upper body is much more tilted, maintaining tilt, or posture we'll call it, because I know we've talked about turn and tilt with you, and that's a little bit of a sensitive subject. But we see Mike is maintaining some side bend while his lower body's rotating, and then the golf club basically continues to his finish. Let's go ahead and let's take you back to address, and let's get rid of Mike Weir. Not saying that we don't like him. He is a Masters winner. And we are going to go to a player that I would say is a very good player for us to look at. And the reason why I'm going to say this player is somebody we need to look at, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the iron swing for Preston Summerhays. And if obviously we look at you guys from one side of the spectrum, we are going to watch the way that both of you swing the club to lead arm parallel. Now, at this stage of the game, the only thing that we can, again, look at is Preston has an absurd amount of under rotation. So by the time Preston gets the club to the very top, you basically are already starting down, and your pelvis is rotated more than what Preston's pelvis is doing. Now, if we really watch the fine art in which he delivers the club down, look at this squat. I'm going to take it back to the very top again. This is probably the similarity, and you and I have discussed the squat as a downward squat. It's a shift that applies pressure downward, that drives pressure into your lead foot, And both of you are doing this pretty well. You'll notice his golf club as well as his hands route a little bit differently down into impact. Now I'm going to back him up all the way to the point where he's gotten into impact. And a couple things that obviously we look at is you've got 44 degrees of pelvis rotation when he's got 58 degrees. But I'm gonna take him back. This is a good goal for us. So again, we are talking about right hand flexion at the top of the golf swing when you change directions to shallow out the club and to get your hand path to move a bit more, we'll call it shallow, closer to your body in the downswing. But let's watch Preston. There goes the lead wrist flexion. His hand path tracks. His club works right down on top of the elbow plane. And then both of these players, again, very similar. There's the release. Lots of pelvis rotation. Come out of the tilt and explode to a tall finish. We can kind of see what he does right there. So just a couple things just to kind of remind you of where we're at, what we're working on. Ultimately, again, focusing on the present, and I feel like you've made some tremendous strides to get you where you are today. I'm really proud of your dedication to the game, dedication to your craft. It's a joy to be on the journey with you, pal. If you have any questions based off today's gear session, let me know.